Right, back again. Taking a look at combating consensus again for our, I guess it's our fourth week now. Looking at last week, we went 2-1. Had the Rams on Thursday night to hold serve at home and to beat the Cardinals. We missed the Eagles against the Steelers on a late field goal drive, led by Ben Roethlisberger. And we did get the Seahawks going into Carolina and causing some trouble for Cam Newton and the Panthers. So 2-1 just puts us at one game above 500 for the season, and we'll try to do a little bit better with that record this week. As you know, we're looking at games where the public consensus is on one side over the other for whatever reason, and assuming that's wrong, and giving you some insight into why I think that it's going to go the other way. So we have 3 games lined up again this week, and we're going to start with the Indianapolis Colts at the Jets. Right now we got about 59% of the public picking the Colts in this one. It's easy to see why. Love what they were able to do last week against the Packers in Indy. Last minute drive, big second half comeback led by rookie quarterback Andrew Luck. Feeling really good about that. But it's hard to assume that emotion is going to carry over. I mean, the whole win one for Chuck was fantastic last week, and there's no doubt that the emotion of that and whatever went on during halftime discussing it really fueled the second half comeback led by the Colts. But it's hard to think that that's going to translate into this week, and also I don't know that it travels well. They're going on the road into New York. Tough environment to play in for a rookie quarterback, and they're also dealing with a lot of injuries. We have to keep that in mind. Lost Donald Brown for a couple of weeks due to a knee surgery, and also going to be without Robert Mathis rushing the quarterback. Now Freeney should play again this week, but a lot of what he does is built on teams worrying about what Robert Mathis is doing on the other side. So it's a concern when either one of them is out, and Mathis is going to miss the game this week. And let's not forget that the Jets are coming off a game on Monday night where they looked much better than everybody expected, or at least everyone not named Rex. And now comes Indy into town, and really Indy's coming off a better than advertised performance as well, but I just gave you the reasons why I don't think they'll be good enough this week to carry on like they did when they rallied against the Packers. Also, last week, Andrew Luck was relying heavily on Reggie Wayne. We saw how well that worked out. Career game, really, for Reggie Wayne. He's had some big ones in the past, but won his first Player of the Week award last week, and deservedly so. This week, he's going to see Antonio Cromartie, who says he's the best corner in the game with Revis out. That's probably a bit of a stretch, but his burn rate is really low. He doesn't get beat a lot. He plays good man coverage, and I think he should be able to mitigate what Reggie Wayne brings to the Colts offense this week, and I think that's going to be a big part of the game plan for the Jets. Without that, there's really not a lot of guys for Andrew Luck to throw to. Now, I think he's going to have a good game. He has a chance to be the first rookie quarterback in history to throw for 300 yards 3 weeks in a row. So he's doing a lot of things right. We got to feel good about that. But I don't think it'll be enough this week against the Jets, who again looked much better on offense than they have in the past. Mark Sanchez is starting to look the role of the quarterback. He made some big-time throws. Not all of them were caught last week by his receivers, but they're getting a little healthier there as well. They'll have Stephen Hill most likely back in the lineup this week as well. They're going to have safety blanket tight end Dustin Keller in the lineup, and that should make a difference for the Jets. And again, Colts going in the wrong direction in the injury update. We've got Vic Ballard starting for the injured Donald Brown, and there's interest in the rookie, but right now he's averaging 2 yards a pop, about 42 yards on 21 carries, I think, are the numbers, and can't feel great about that being the guy who's supposed to take the pressure off your quarterback. If they can't get the run game going, I do think that the Jets secondary is still strong enough to cause some problems for Andrew Luck, and I think that Mark Sanchez probably has a better chance to win the game with his supporting cast around him. It hurts me to say it, but I am on him this week. He made some big-time throws, as I said, against the Houston Texans last week, and the Colts secondary just isn't as strong, so I think a lot of those throws that were knocked down last week or didn't get into the receiver's hands will find a way this week, and I think that the Jets can win this game at home, so I'm on New York over Indy, despite public backing the Colts. Next game I'm looking at is one with a significantly higher percentage of the public on the favored team, but we saw on Thursday night that doesn't always matter, right? Of course, now that was a situation where a home team caught an older team on a short week and were able to take advantage of some injuries and win the game. But those are the sort of things that happen in the NFL. This week, for my pick, I'm taking a road team, but a team coming off a bye, couple of weeks to game plan for this and get themselves healthy, and that's the Dallas Cowboys over the Baltimore Ravens, with 88% of the public on Yahoo backing the Ravens. I know it's a stretch, but there's been a lot of talk this week about how Dallas should be able to run the ball against a Baltimore Ravens run D that isn't living up to billing. Now, they held Jamal Charles in the second half last week, but in the first half he ran all over them. 125 yards first half rushing on 20 carries, just looked pretty good. Again, we might not see what we're fully expecting from DeMarco Murray this week, but I think he'll be able to move the ball well enough to take some of the pressure off Tony Romo. I think this is going to be a closer game, so we're not going to see a lot of rush throws, a lot of throws into coverage that are probably ill-advised. And there's the offensive performance last week by the Ravens against the Chiefs. Again, you can't always expect that that's going to carry over from week to week, but they are coming off a disappointing win, 9-6 against a team that have been blown out a couple of times this season. I don't feel really good about what Baltimore did on offense that game, and they face a stouter test in Dallas's defense this week. The Cowboys again have had a full 2 weeks to game plan for this contest, and after their loss to the Bears, I think they'll have spent the bye week very hungry, but also focusing on fixing a few flaws in their game and hopefully being able to turn it around. If they are running the ball effectively, as I said, it's going to limit the pressure situations, the problem throws from Tony Romo, and he's going to be able to keep making those throws and moving the chains. With any luck as well, we've got Dez Bryant focusing on some of his on-field issues during the bye week, correcting some of the drops, getting on the same page with his quarterback, and I think that'll be really important. But perhaps most importantly, what we've seen when Baltimore's been effective is that they've gone hard at Torrey Smith to start a game, let's say, hit him for a couple of throws, and then when defenses start paying attention to Smith, then Joe Flacco shifts his attention to Anquan Boldin. He hits him over the middle. They move the chains that way. I remember the game against the Patriots. Boldin was hit like on 5 consecutive throws on a drive because everybody was focusing on Torrey Smith. This week, the Cowboys, I think, are better equipped than a lot of teams to handle that because they've got 2 pretty strong cover corners. So you should see them trying to take both Smith and Boldin out of the game at the same time. Obviously, they've got Ray Rice as a check-down option and as someone to run the ball, so the Ravens are still going to be able to move the ball on offense. But again, I think with those 2 strong corners, we're not going to see as many mismatches when coverage gets shifted one way or the other, and I think that does favor the Cowboys this week. As well, speaking of the bye, they spent it getting healthy. We're going to have maybe Anthony Spencer back on the field, though that's not a guarantee, but we should see Jay Ratliff, big nose tackle, returning on defense and really help cement what they're doing on that side of the ball. And we'll see Phil Costa back snapping the ball to Tony Romo, and I think both of those things are pretty key to either side of the ball, and I think it's going to make a difference for Dallas. We'll see the type of energy that we saw coming into the season in Game 1 against the Giants, and I think that we can see an upset win here. So I'm on the boys, and I'm with just 1 of every 10, basically. Numbers aren't much better for the next pick, but I like, and I'm waffling even as I say it to you now, but I like the Bills over the Cardinals on the road. Buffalo's been brutal on the road this season. No way to deny that. In fact, they've just been pretty brutal in the last couple weeks as well. They looked really awful. They've given up over 1,200 yards in the last 2 weeks. Haven't been able to stop anybody. 97 points against. But there is talent on this defense. You'd think that if they spent the week, as they said, staying in the desert, really focusing on building a team, which is important with some of the free agent acquisitions that they've had, but also in hopefully making a few tweaks to that defensive game plan of Dave Wannstedt that clearly hasn't been working over the last couple weeks. Been pretty vanilla, haven't thrown a lot of different looks at opposing teams, and I think that they'll do that this week against the Cardinals. And I think that this is the week where we see Mario Williams, and if he's able to play, Kyle Williams getting into the act on the defensive line. I know that Mark Anderson goes down, but the Bills have pretty good depth along the defensive line, so I'm not too concerned about that. And I think that the scheme is going to help them get to the quarterback this week against a Cardinals offensive line that's given up 17 sacks in 2 games, really bad at the 2 tackle positions where Williams should be able to really get to the quarterback. So I think that defense actually wins this game for the Bills, which I know is a different outlook given the way they've played the game the last 2 weeks. We also know that last time they played, the Arizona Cardinals offense looked less than impressive against the Rams. Scored 3 points on the road in St. Louis. Now again, they're back at the University of Phoenix Stadium, friendly confines, but that doesn't solve some of the issues that they have on offense. And one of those issues relates to their inability to run the ball behind the weak offensive line, not able to take the pressure off quarterback Kevin Kolb. I can't say that that's going to get much better this week with William Warehouse Powell running the ball behind that line instead of Ryan Williams. Williams, we know, went down last week. We've got LaRod Stevens-Howling, who I think is averaging a yard a carry this season, and William Powell, who literally was working in a warehouse a few weeks ago, coming in expected to lead the charge against the Bills. Again, Bills have been pretty leaky on the ground this season, but all things considered, this is a really nice matchup for them to get the defense on track. And if they're not able to run the ball, they're going to be looking to throw the ball into coverage, probably forcing it to Larry Fitzgerald. Never a bad idea, but we've seen the Bills do really well one-on-one in coverage this year. Rookie cornerback Stephon Gilmore made some big plays against top receivers in weeks past. He's looked much better than a rookie should, playing corner against some of the game's top receivers. And I think that he brings a lot to the table this week against the Cardinals. Might be able, with some help certainly, to effectively shut down Larry Fitzgerald. And if they can't run the ball and can't throw the ball to him, they're not going to be doing a lot on offense. Again, it's a stretch, but I like the Bills to get to the quarterback a couple times, maybe not the 9 sacks they gave up last week, but enough, and hopefully in some game-changing moments to keep them in this one. And we're going to go with the Bills. So recapping, that's the Jets at home in a pretty close 60% consensus pick on the Colts. And then some big swings. We're picking Dallas off the bye to go on the road and beat the Ravens. And we're going to pick the Bills in a big upset to beat the 4-1 Arizona Cardinals at home. So those are the picks this week. Take them for what you will. And as always, we'll check them out on Monday, see how we did. Thanks a lot.